Hello and welcome to another edition of Points of Interest, brought to you by the Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce. My name is Paul Boucher and I'm the President and CEO of the Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce. And as we do each week, we bring you a program on the events going on in the Upper Valley for this week and have a special guest with us to speak on a particular topic. And this week is no different. We have Ovide Lamontagne, who is a candidate in the Republican primaries for the state of New Hampshire, and he'll be talking to us about that event and project that he's working on. But there's a couple of things I'd like to bring up this week, other than just the current events. If you are new to the area or getting accustomed to the new lines that are painted around Colburn Park and here on Bank Street and School Street, this happened last week. New lines have been put in. We now have a bike path. And you have to be pretty careful. People are not accustomed to it. And from the office here, we can hear a little screeching of tires every once in a while when people are either in the wrong lane or don't know which end to turn. We also have the completion of the water sewer separation project on Bank Street. And that was completed this past week. And we have some bump outs. Those granite islands, as I call them, come out. And you have to be very careful. Pay attention, otherwise you're going to hit them going through. So if you're coming to Lebanon for the activities that are happening in Lebanon, I urge you to be extra careful until you get accustomed to it. Second issue we have is the FAA has come up with some new rulings on safety issues that they are going to impose on the Lebanon Municipal Airport. And some of those include the extension of the runways, the both north-south, east-west runway by 500 feet, and the cutting back of trees that so there's better visibility by the planes coming in. The city has two options. They can extend the runways 500 feet, or the FAA is going to recommend they cut them back 500 feet. Which would eliminate all jet service to Lebanon Municipal Airport. Cape Air, which services our commercial airlines here, is not at risk because they have props and they will be able to land here, but not the jets. And we as a chamber feel that that's important to the city to extend those runways because the jets that do land there, I dare say if you go up at any time at the airport, there's at least two jets that are up there, what we call GA or General Aviation. And those jets, they pay the city $125 to land each time. The city gets a cut on the gasoline, the gallons that they purchase, and also the FBO, the fixed base operator, income part of that goes to the city. And then a lot of those who are flying in by jet rent cars, and we have an arrangement with the car dealers that the city gets money for that too. Which is the biggest part of the income to the city from the airport is the GA or General Aviation. So we are encouraging people to express their opinions. The city manager is receiving input until August 24th. So we have a couple of weeks to get your opinions in to him, and then he will share them with City Council, and they will vote on whichever way they want to go at the September City Council meeting. There will be no cost, though, to shorten the runways, because all they'll do is put New Jersey barriers up. But to extend the runways, there is some cost, of which 90% is funded by the government, 5% from the state, and so the city would only absorb 5% of that. And as I say, would continue to have the jet service there. And also, we have a lot of medevac jets that land there, people who are being flown in to eventually end up at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center. They're met by the ambulance and has all of that too. And so that's a big service to the area that we do also. So I encourage you to write the city manager on that issue. But we have quite a few things coming up. We have the Cornish Fair coming up August 17th, 18th, and 19th. This is the 63rd annual at the Cornish Fair. A lot of activities there. A lot of people have enjoyed going out there. It's not too far a ride. I had the pleasure this week of going to see The King and I, Rodgers and Hammerstein's, at the Opera House here in Lebanon, and this is Opera North. Fantastic. It's worth the money to see this play. They're going to be running on August 11, 17, and also a special on the 16th at 2 p.m. I would suggest you take in that. It was an excellent, and it's just amazing the talent that's here in the Upper Valley. Singers, dancers, musicians, it was and the costumes was just great, so I would encourage you. We have, again, at the Opera House, Save Your Money, Village People. We all know them from New York, and like. They'll be here September 14th, and here at the Opera House. And we have Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. They're coming in August 24th. And Steve Vai, V-A-I, will be here September 16th. Ingrid Michelson, October 27th, and Buddy Gay on October 28th. So there's a lot of activity going on in the Upper Valley. And of course, we always have the Farmers Market on Thursdays, which has their entertainment at 4 o'clock when they come on, 4 to 7. And then 7:30 till 8:30 is the Front Porch Series, running every Thursday until the end of the month. So, and then Monday night is the concert in the park, run by the Recreation Department. So a lot of things going on in the Upper Valley, and I encourage you to take part in those activities. So this week we have Ovide Lamontagne. I consider him a close friend from years working with the Boy Scouts in New Hampshire and in other venues. And Ovide, welcome to Upper Valley, first of all.
It's great to be with you, Paul.
Great, and you have a mission. And you can tell us about your mission. First of all, before I get to the mission, your background, the people would like to know.
Well, I'd like to talk about it since I'm running for governor of the state of New Hampshire, because people want to know about your background in business, because jobs is really the key issue that people are talking about, and your experience in government as well as in the private sector. And so I've been a business lawyer for the last 26 years at Divine Willamette Branch. I've been an owner of the firm for the last 20, so I'm a business owner as well as a business lawyer. And I've worked in a number of areas of law, including representing Catholic Medical Center in Manchester for the last 14 years. I have experience in healthcare law. And I've also practiced, I've also been involved in state government as chairman of the State Board of Education, and I've worked, as you know, in the private sector through the nonprofit sector, particularly through the Boy Scouts, Easter Seals, and other organizations. I'm a fourth-generation New Hampshire native, the son of New Hampshire farmers, mill workers, and dentists out of Manchester. And I like to say, growing up the son of a dentist doesn't build character. Growing up with a name like Ovide does, guaranteed. One of the toughest names in politics, if not the toughest. And my wife and I have been married for 33 years. I married her. She and I were married right out of college, and then we were high school teachers. She taught math. I taught social studies before I went to law school, and then we came back to move in next door to my parents in 1986. And the house next door became open. We bought it, and then in 1997, my mother said, "I've had it with the big house. I'm the oldest of 8 kids." And I said, "I'll have a deal for you, Ma. We'll buy your house and rent our little house to you." So sure enough, the moving truck comes on Saturday of the Labor Day weekend, 1997, moves the 2 families in 4 hours, and we've been next door neighbors to my parents for 26 years. So if you've ever seen the show Everybody Loves Raymond, that is our family. And my daughters, I have 2 daughters, both now living out of the house, 26 and 23-year-old girls, women, who were wonderful. They were both adopted. One was adopted from Wyoming Catholic Charities, where I went to law school, and the other one we adopted in New Hampshire. And then they've been wonderful. And they know my parents as well as they know us, because we've been so close physically and just spent a lot of time together.
So if they get upset with you, they run across the street to Mem.
Always did.
Yeah,
I was going to Mem and Pepsi. Yeah. My mother said, "I don't want to be a Mem man, I want to be a Mem." And my father, she called my father Pep. So Mem and Pep are next door.
So they go there and they complain about you.
That's right.
You're right.
And we've also been foster parents to a special needs young man. He came to us when he was 2 weeks old, 1988. Now he's 24 years old, lives in the community. And we've learned, Paul, about how our social service system in New Hampshire, our safety net, really does work. It works for citizens with disabilities, and that's what we found our foster son had. So he receives care, we oversee his care with in partnership with the state and the local area agency, the Moore Center. So I've learned a lot about that system.
So why in the world would you want to be governor in New Hampshire?
You know, Paul, I love the state. I grew up in the state. I've got granite in my backbone. I've got granite in my head, as my wife says sometimes. And I think New Hampshire needs leadership for a change in the governor's office. A principled, tested, conservative leadership from the point of view of the New Hampshire, frugal, limited government approach. And I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to not only do I have the experience, but also the vision and the plan for bringing New Hampshire forward and making us the best state to do business, not just business friendly. We have to work hard to deregulate New Hampshire, to deal with healthcare challenges in our educational system, to make us the very best place to do business, to expand the business, and to create jobs for our citizens. And I think we can get there with a number of initiatives, which I'd like to lead on. And that's what I hear all over the state. People are concerned about jobs, they're concerned about the economy, they're concerned about the future for our children and our grandchildren in terms of being able to support themselves here in New Hampshire. And we have got to get to the business of business here, and I'm ready, willing, and able to do that.
Priority, once in office.
Yeah, my priority would be, again, focusing on what we can do to help business be more successful here. So one of the first things I would do is appoint a business advocate in the governor's office, someone who has business experience who can come in and be an advocate in troubleshooting for business in state government. There are a number of businesses who look to expand, they need permitting, licensing, what have you, and they run up against bureaucracy for whatever reason, just because of lack of attention or just obstacles that they find in government. And I want that business advocate to take the full weight and force of the governor's office to cut through red tape, streamline things for business if they have any problems. And then we're going to organize a business advisory group of business leaders from around the state to work with the business advocate to figure out what are the changes we can make within the executive branch. I'm running for governor, not Senate President or Speaker of the House. And so overseeing the executive branch, what can we do to make business work easier in dealing with the state government? And then deregulate New Hampshire. The first thing I would do after appointing the business advocate is to issue a 90-day moratorium on any new rules and regulations and require agencies to conduct or perform an economic impact analysis to tell the citizens and the businesses and the cities and towns of the state what it's going to cost to comply with the latest rule or regulation that's being proposed. And then compare that against the value that's going to be realized by this latest rule. What are we trying to accomplish? And if the value doesn't outweigh the expenses, the burden on business and cities and towns, families, let's repeal or withdraw that rule and then start going through our rule books to consolidate, eliminate, reform our regulatory structure to make it easier to do business here in New Hampshire.
Well, I certainly hope that the commission, as I mentioned to you, that I serve on, that was established by the legislature to look at some of these things,
Right.
will still be in effect and able to work with.
Well, I want to work with that commission, Paul, because you're doing some of the work that I want to be doing as well.
But there's plenty of work to be done.
All there is.
As you probably recognize, and so
Yes.
we'll be there when you're there.
Good. Excellent.
A lot of people, complain that, of course, we have no sales, no income tax, property tax is high, and then I hear, particularly here in the chamber, is the business franchise tax, the business profit tax, that it is taxing the entities, the business
Yes.
entities.
Yeah.
You see any light at the end of the tunnel, particularly the business franchise or the business enterprise tax?
Right, I do. I have a plan called the EASY Plan. People can see it. It's spelled ESE. It's the acronym for our plan, and it's available on our website at ovide2012.com. That's OVIDE2012.com. I propose lowering the business profits tax from 8.5% to 8% over the next 2 years. This term of office is only 2 years, so we need to work with the legislature over a 2-year horizon. Trending downward. So at least go from 8.5 to 8%. And then we have other proposals that simplify the filing requirements, raise the minimum threshold before you have to actually file. Also providing tax credits for certain types of expenses a business might incur, particularly with an emphasis on manufacturing. And advanced manufacturing is truly the highest yielding sector, if you will, in terms of the multiplier effect. For every 100 jobs we create in the private sector in manufacturing, we generate another 138 jobs to support those 100 jobs. And so it's the really wealth generation through the manufacturing sector is critically important. So for business, we're to hire an employee who had student loans and wanted to offer as part of the incentive to bring that person into the workplace to pay some or all of the student loans off. They could use that as a tax deduction under our plan. and a number of other features like that. In the end, we would have a pay-go approach to paying for the offsetting reduction in revenues, which is to offset it by reductions in state spending in discrete areas to make sure that we stay revenue neutral with this. And that's part of the approach we need to take. And I'm open to working with businesses to see what other obstacles there are from a business tax point of view. In terms of the overall tax burden of our citizens per capita, we're not bad. We're probably down one of the lowest per capita tax burden states in the country, but property tax truly is high. And we need to continue to work with cities and towns to lower the cost of government at their level, which is what's driving the property tax up. And I will work hard to make sure we don't have any downshifting of state expenses onto cities and towns that are going to drive up that property tax. And then educational reform, which I support in a constitutional amendment to reverse the Claremont decisions and to restore local control over education funding and also policy making and providing for targeted aid by the state to those communities that don't have the fiscal capacity to pay for education. That's going to help to lower property taxes where the need is. So it's really a multifaceted approach, and I'm ready to take it on.
In talking to George Ball, the Dread Commissioner, Department of Resources, Economic Development, he always says that for every dollar we spend on tourism and promoting the state gets back $6. When you're talking about the trickle down, we get $6 back to the state through gas tax, rooms and meals tax, business profits tax, that type of thing. And I remember Governor Lynch saying a couple of times he'd like to have investments that would produce that well in that regard.
Yeah.
Unemployment seems to be pretty good in New Hampshire versus other parts of the country.
Yeah. My reaction to that, Paul, is that the unemployment rate is masking the true anxiety, the true pain out there that we have in our economy here in New Hampshire. I begin with this proposition and this fact. We have 30,000 fewer jobs today than we had in 2008, right before the economic recession. So although our number of unemployed by percentage is low, if you look at the true job creation, we still haven't recovered from this recession yet. Secondly, that overall number is masking some real pain in the North Country, Berlin, Groveton, Colebrook. They're experiencing 10% unemployment up there, and in some rural parts of our state, the same thing. I don't believe in governing to the averages. I believe in governing to the need. And we need to target time, talent, and resources through state economic developers as well as our state agencies to those areas of the state that need to create, to really help to jumpstart their regional economies. We don't have a statewide economic development plan in the state. And we call our marketing department, as you just said, Dread.
Yeah, Dread. Yeah.
What company would call its marketing department Dread? So we're going to change a lot of that. We're going to brand the state and develop an statewide economic development plan that has regional focus to it as well, so that we can promote those regions of the state that have particular assets and opportunities that a particular kind of business would want to look to. And I think we can do a much better job in promoting New Hampshire. I want to be the promoter-in-chief, the ambassador-in-chief for New Hampshire as the governor, and work with local Chamber of Commerce executives and business people to say, what can we do to let people know about the Upper Valley, for example, outside of this region, so they know there's real opportunity here for new businesses to locate. When I've been on trade missions to Canada, Paul, you can relate to this. With my name, I can speak their language, and I have. And when I've been to Canada and talked to business people up there who are looking to expand in the United States, I say, come to New Hampshire. And they say, oh, we love New Hampshire. We go to Old Orchard Beach every summer. I say, you know what? Old Orchard Beach is not New Hampshire, my friends. And they say, well, it's the same thing. It's Maine. I said, no, it's not the same thing. We haven't done a good job of really spreading the word about what we have to offer here in New Hampshire, how different we really are. And I'm ready to do that. I think we can really put ourselves on a much different platform to attract new businesses and also to expand our existing ones.
And there's some work. I also serve on a commission that was established and was appointed by the governor. And it's called the American Canadian French Cultural Exchange Commission.
Right.
It's got a long name. And basically we've just been able to do some exchange type of things, which hopefully in time will pay out with that. And Commissioner McLeod is our fellow that we report to, and so hopefully in that regard. Again, you have to be bilingual to be on that committee, and so that. So we are in the primary period.
Yes.
With the primary coming up on September 11th.
Correct.
To vote for you, what does a voter need to do?
The voter needs to go to the polls on September 11th, and they need to either be an independent or a Republican and take the Republican ballot and check the box next to the fellow's name who begins with O, Ovide, Lamontagne. And that will help me win that primary so that we can go and present myself in the general election and hopefully win that general election come November 6th. In between now and then, people, if they're interested in supporting us, can get onto our website at ovide2012.com. They can ask for lawn signs, bumper stickers, get information, send links to our website to other members of their address book. Write letters to the editor if they want to be supportive. Put up those signs wherever they can on private property to let people know that they're supportive. And then word of mouth ultimately, Paul, really makes a difference in New Hampshire elections.
Excellent, excellent. And we hope, for a real good turnout on September 11th.
Especially that day, Paul. I hope the New Hampshire citizens will come out in a bigger way because it's September 11th. And it's 11 years from the disaster and tragedy of September 11th in 2001. And we need to send a message out to the world from New Hampshire that we still believe in our great American experimental system of republic form of government, the democracy that we have here, and we're going to exercise our right to vote by participating in that primary.
Excellent. Well, Ovide, thank you very much for being with us today. We wish you luck.
It's great to be up here in the Upper Valley and here in Greater Lebanon, and appreciate your work here.
That's another program of Points of Interest, brought to you by the Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce. And we'll be back again next week with another program. Until then.